Yo, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? Once again, this is part three. And this is I'm hoping that this can be the final part to the last 3 days of lessons that we have been doing to bring awareness to what's going on within the demonic system of the political as well as the religious system that Hasatan will be definitely using in these last days. This is why it's important for us to do the Great Commission and go into all the world. Shalom to everybody. Shalom to those who are out there. Grace, peace, and many blessings to you all. This is why it's very important that Christ gave the commission to all his soon-to-be apostles to make disciples of others in this understanding, in making sure that we go into all the world, into every construct, into every place, and take the gospel to those places of repentance and keeping the commandments and turning back to righteousness. And so it's important for us to do that. In every aspect, we all need to be discipled and trained and make sure that we are all going into all of these places, making sure that we're praying and making sure that we're fasting in these things, because you cannot go into these areas or any of these constructs without making sure that you have a solid prayer life, making sure that your fast life is solid. Okay, make sure you're doing those things. Blessings to you as well, my brother Joshua Mills. Blessings to all the brothers and sisters that are tuning in. Definitely invite, like, and share. These are one of those lessons, very rare lessons, that I tell you to do that. And so the last 3 has been very informative. I pray the grace and mercy and peace upon all the brothers and sisters that are watching and that are doing the Great Commission, doing the work that was given to the apostles, as well as presenting and teaching the apostles' doctrine, as well as law and spirit, grace and righteousness, okay, in these days in which we live. Greetings to my brother Travis Smith, as well as SC, Sister Essie as well. Peace and blessings to all the brothers, Boom Church, all the sisters of Boom. Blessings to you all. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to send a couple of invites, and then we're going to get right into it, because it's definitely important to deal with this. All right, making sure that we all have a thorough understanding of what the Father is requiring us to do. It's very, very important that we do not get sidetracked in this aspect of understanding and this mission that we've been so blessed and graced to be able to live in a time in which we live in today. Just making sure that we're all teaching this thing and making sure that we're leading people back to righteousness, because that is the goal. That is the goal, to teach them and to bring them back to righteousness. And we have to do that. Some of us have to go. Everybody is not going to go into every construct. And so that is important that we all know that as well. But make sure those who are going, who are what I like to call the Navy SEALs for the kingdom, to make sure that they are, that prayer is behind them, and make sure that if there is any type of persecution, any type of jail, any type of imprisonment, or anything of that nature, that the prayer warriors are definitely on deck to make sure that brothers and sisters are covered. All right, shalom to all my brothers and sisters out there. Shalom, Akote, Kathia, Brother Rock Knox, what's going on? Shalom, Brother Reginald, Sister Deidre Ross, shalom, Brother Tate Anderson, what's going on? Pop Curry, who else on here? All right. Sorry, Sister Sherry Neely, what's going on? Long time, sis. Hey, what's going on? Blessings to you, Sister Tina Bailey Matthews, everybody that are tuning in, and those who will be tuning in. I want to, again, bring this, because this is going to be a battle. We all have a common enemy. Okay. As I said the other day, it's not that heritage isn't important. It's not that knowing who you are is, it's not like that's, I'm not saying that it's not important, but at the end of the day, Hasatan, man, he does not care. All right. He does not care. He wants to take any and everybody out, and he wants any and everybody to bow before him. Hey, shalom, Sister Lisa. What's going on? Hope to see you at James 1-1 this year. Brother Tommy, what's going on? Shalom to you as well. It's important to understand this, and we have to understand that our children is definitely of importance to make sure that we keep them prayed up, because at the end of the day, we have to understand that Hasatan believes every aspect, every jot and every tittle of the word of Yah. He believes it to the core. He knows that the word is going to be fulfilled, because he's been to a place that we're all trying to get to. And so he's going to do everything he can to stop you from getting to that place, okay, or to even getting a glimpse of it. So the thing is, he believes that the Spirit is going to be poured out upon our sons and our daughters, and they shall prophesy, and those types of things. He believes that to the core. So he's going to do everything he can to put things in place to even cause those of our youth, our children, to give up their crown, because he can't take their crown, but Hasatan can't take your salvation. He can do all things that he can try to do to get you to give it up. Shalom, Brother Yusef. Shalom, Brother C. Note. So let's get into this. I want y'all to see what's going on here. Okay, of course, we're going to do this. We're going to do this from the understanding of the political side, in which the system, the beast system, is political and the beast system is spiritual. All right. And so these last three lessons have been hinged upon the political understanding and the spiritual understanding. We went into Revelation, and we were showing you all of these different aspects of how this worked. But today we're going to go into one of the most common passages of scripture, the Olivet Discourse, in Matthew 24, just to give you a glimpse of it. Even though we've done that, brothers and sisters have heard that over and over. But the thing is, we can't get so accustomed and so used to reading scripture like, that's it. You know, I done read that before. There's always a revelation, a deeper understanding that the Father gives you. You can read a passage 20 times and find nuggets in that same chapter that you never paid attention to. And you could have have read it for 20 years. And it's always something, a nugget that you missed, because we're all growing in our revelation daily. All right. If you are fasting, you are praying daily, you're fasting, and you're studying to show yourself approved, and in communion with the Ruach, the Holy Spirit, there should be nuggets, okay, that you see and get no matter how many times you read a particular chapter and book, okay? The Father is always at work. He isn't boxed in, we box him in, okay? Sometimes we can allow our traditions to box us in. All right, now let's look at this real quick. I want to show y'all a video, and I want to show you how these things and how the devices are so serious. Okay, when it comes time to come down to dealing with the way Hasatan is moving, okay, the way he's moving, that's why I was saying, we was talking about the other day, and I wasn't downplaying the R. Kelly situation. I wasn't saying that he wasn't wrong. But I wanted to go deeper into showing you how these devices that are in place, it's so deep, okay, to the point to where sometimes we only stay on the surface and we pay attention and focus more on the surface level things, but we have to look and see what is going on behind the scenes or underneath that's not on the surface, that's not blatantly obvious in the open. It's out in the open, but it's not so much because we're chasing. It's almost like Hasatan throws a rock, and it's like in the Scary Movie, you hear a stick pop or a rock or something fall to the left, and everybody get to focusing and going over there looking for the killer. But really the killer is coming up behind you on your right side. Okay, that's how things work, okay, with Hasatan. All right. he's not a dummy at all. So let's look at this here. Let's go into this video.
In schools in about 9 cities. Take a look. They've got the mascot here. There he is. I think that's a little graduation cap. It's got the candy cane work. And then the Satanic Temple said, okay, we're not here to teach about the red guy and the pitchfork. It's about scientific rationalization, free thinking. But then you go on YouTube and you check out their video, and I'm going to let you listen to a little bit of it. It's going to take a little bit of a chill down your spine. Get the red lettering in there, and it goes in deeper. You get the voices and the more foreboding music. So we got a representative from the group. We'll ask about the video here. The question, though, is in all of this is, and especially in some of these cities where it's being targeted, what are parents saying about it? Here's how they're reacting.
It's America. I mean, you know, freedom of speech. My preference would be no, that we don't have it. But their preference would be that Christians not have their group too.
All right, after school Satan targeting possible locations. There you see it in 9 cities. Atlanta, that's where you heard the parents from the Atlanta.
After school Satan. All right. I know probably couldn't hear it that well. I thought the volume would be a little higher. My speaker's around here somewhere. I can't find my speakers right now. Could everybody hear that? I want to make sure that everybody could hear it. If not, then I would have to go get my speakers real quick. If you couldn't hear it, let me know if you couldn't hear it. If not, give me a moment and I'll go and I'll grab my speakers. And that way, I want brothers and sisters to make sure they're able to hear. Everybody good? I did? Okay. All right, just want to make sure. I know our sister said she couldn't hardly hear it, but all right, let's see here. I'm going to try to work with this, but I think this is the highest the volume goes. All right, but look at this. This is after school Satan. All right, so now they've taken prayer out of the schools, out of many of the schools, except if it's a private Christian school or something like this. And so they don't want you having no type of Bible interaction. They don't even want you even mentioning anything about the Bible in school. Okay. But yet, through the governmental structure in which this after school or the legalities of it, they're always saying, well, if the Christians can do it, then so can we. Because they understand the terminology within the laws, okay, within the political side of the beast system. They understand the legalities. And that's what they use in order to enforce their ways, all right? Because they know that the laws are going to work in their favor. So when we start talking about many of the founding fathers of America and the laws and things that they passed and created, it was based on Christian perspective or Christian views. Then when we begin to look at these laws in these states, as well as Congress, as well as the Senate, as well as the Supreme Court, we can all see that there's a different picture here. And that's how they're able to work through the legalities. Because it's already been laying a foundation from the beginning when we start looking at this to know that it's not based upon biblical principles. Okay? So it's important for us to hear this and understand. All right. So let's keep moving here. Look what it says. These are some of the states that's on the list. All right.
Area Los Angeles, Seattle, Springfield. So kind of across the country there. And joining me to talk a little further about this via Skype's co-founder, spokesperson.
Who is it? It's the same guy. He's like the president of the Church of Satan. It's the same guy who wants the Baphomet statue put in all of these different states. All of these different states. All right, Vito, I got you. Make sure that you go on my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/itsmajors. That way you can get and subscribe. That way you can watch some of the lives and videos and share them later on. All right. But this is the thing. It's the same guy. The same guy that wanted the Baphomet statue set up in Arkansas and all these other states. He's going state by state, establishing and implementing these things. This is why it's important for us to make sure that we make the proper decisions. This is why there has to be a voice of the Most High in every place. This is why he said, go into the world and make disciples. That's not just talking about the world of Israel. That's talking about everywhere your foot tread, you need to be taking the gospel. Somebody needs to be hearing something. It doesn't matter what construct it is. If you go into, here's the thing, if I get invited, and this is me, I'm not telling y'all to do this. If the Most High opened up a situation, of course you use wisdom and you pray and you make sure that you adhere to the Spirit in every decision and everywhere you go. You just don't just go into places just to go. I don't care where it is. Prisons, wherever. If the Most High opened up a door and spiritually gives me the okay to go into a place such as a mosque in America to teach the truth, I'm going. There has to be a voice of Yah in every place your foot treads. The Torah should be on your lips everywhere your foot treads. This is why we can't be afraid or look at it as a bad thing to go into a Christian church or going to anywhere that the Most High opened up a door for you to go. You're going as a representative. Obviously, when he opens up the door for you, he trusts you to be responsible with character and his essence to go into these places. There needs to be a voice within the governmental structure that is going to take the Most High's laws, statutes, and commandments, his ways, into these particular constructs. We can't just seem to just simply think that we're just going to gather at feast days and all these things. That's cool and fine. But we have people in every one of these constructs, in everywhere. We are commissioned to go. Everywhere our foot tread, whether if we come in contact with a stranger, Gentile, whatever you want to call them, we have an obligation to bring them and lead them to the Most High. It's our duty as Israel to be leaders of the nations, to show them how to serve and honor. Okay? So here's the thing. It's the same guy. When we start looking at, the other day we was looking at the lesson about the Baphomet, the Church of Satan. Here's the same guy. Now they're going into the schools. They're going into the schools. Where are our people? Those who represent Yah. When are we going to have a voice and a curriculum to legally, this is why I was telling y'all, it's cool to have some friends that are Moors because they know the laws. I got a couple of friends that's Moors. And when I want to know something that I don't know or I can't find, when I'm looking for something legally, when it's come down to dealing with the laws of this land, I go to my Moor friends. They know I'm an Israelite. But we have a relationship where We can talk and communicate. We can talk and communicate. So when I need to know something legally that I don't know, if I'm at my job and I need to know something about HR policy that I can't find, I go to my Moore friends, because my Moore brothers, they know. And so it's the same situation with this. We need to have curriculums as well to be able to present in such a way with wisdom to have something set up as well. The Church of Satan got it. They're going into the school systems. We can't allow and continue to make excuses by not going into all of these constructs and having and taking the word of Yah with us. Okay? So let's look at this here. Let's look at what he's doing.
For the Satanic Temple, Lucian Grievous is with us, and by phone, the Vice President for USA Ministries, the Child Evangelism Fellowship. They have the Good News Club, it's a Christian after-school program. Moses Esteves joins us as well. Lucian, let me start with you. First off, clear up what you're teaching, because on one side it's about critical thinking, but then I saw that video that's got more of a Lucifer leaning to it. What are you teaching?
Well, we don't contain any items of religious opinion in our curriculum, in contrast to the Child Evangelism Fellowship and the Good News Clubs, which train children to proselytize to other children in public schools. We were hoping, actually, the video would be jarring and cause people to think about the lack of regulation and restriction on after-school club curriculum and the kind of materials that are being put forward in the schools. Because I think if most Christians knew what the Child Evangelism Fellowship was about, and how they have an acrimonious relationship to many sects of Christianity, including the Catholic Church, they would be disgusted to know that they're coming in and training children, trying to coerce them into their way of fundamentalist, isolationist thinking.
Okay, well, and I'll ask Moses about that in just a sec, but while we're on what you guys are teaching, again, if you continue on with the video, you've got the foreboding voices and things like that, clear it up. Is it about free thinking, or are you talking about Satan in there to kids?
Well, I'm not sure where you're getting Satan in the video, other than that you see the imagery as being foreboding. It might be foreboding, but I don't think there's anything actually objectionable in any of it.
Okay, so again, teaching about Satan or not?
No, not teaching about Satan. It's a after-school club that's incidentally held by the Satanic Temple and executed by Satanists.
Got it. Okay. Moses Esteves is here. Esteves, sorry. So what is taught in the Good News Club after school?
Well, thank you for having me. The Good News Club is a nurturing, welcoming, privately sponsored after-school enrichment club, offering training in morals, character, leadership, citizenship, but from a Christian biblical perspective. We do a variety of fun activities with Bible stories, songs, and games, and we teach the children about God, that God loves them, that Christ loves them, and the children respond in wonderful ways to the message of the gospel, and their lives are impacted very positively. As a matter of fact, their behavior starts changing for the better. We have principals that have said, and I just even recently read a quote, we have noticed an improvement in student behavior. Good News Club has provided us with an extra resource for our high-risk population. Another one said, since the Good News Club has been a part of our school, the office referrals have decreased. So we teach children to respect one another, respect their parents, respect their teachers from a Christian biblical base. And the community loves the clubs, and I think their enrollment demonstrates that too. Currently, we have 178,000 children coming to this club, and they come because they love it. They are loved by their teachers, and it's a very positive experience for the school and the community.
Okay, there's both sides of this, but you, Lucian, you see that this group is indoctrinating kids, right? And you want to come
Not only that, they're not teaching the love of Jesus and the love of God. If you actually look at their material, they're specifically telling kids that they're sinners and that they will go to hell, and that the ultimate outcome of the sin is death.
Wait a minute, hold on. Wait, hold on.
The primary reason why we think...
Hold on. Okay, here's the thing, man. Listen, nobody has the authority, especially when you don't even believe in the book. This is becoming a common thread. And it has become you don't even believe in the Bible, period. Now, we can get into doctrinal differences or what someone is teaching and talking about, whether it's dealing with law, grace, and all that other stuff. We can have those conversations with people when it comes to doctrine. But we shouldn't allow anybody that don't even believe in the word of Yah to even sit there and even have an opinion or give any instruction or any advice on what we should be talking about and doing. But this is becoming a common thread. This is becoming a common thing. We have to stop that. We can't even allow that. He doesn't even believe in the book, but yet he's telling them what Christ said, what HaMashiach says. Let's keep looking. Let's keep watching.
The balance of having Satanists representing an after-school club and showing that people can be of a differing religious opinion or even embrace what looks like blasphemous imagery and still be moral and productive people. We think that sends a very positive message to children. Because the idea of Satanists as this kind of outgroup for which we justify witch hunts and outgroup purges has never been very constructive.
Well, on that point, and there was a tweet, a person named Maddie tweeted out this, but why don't you just call it a science club and get the term Satan out of there if you want more of a critical free thinking?
Well, because we do have this history of outgroup making, and we have a history of burning witches that never existed or imprisoning Satanists that never were active. And this has happened as recently as the 80s and 90s in the United States. False accusations of satanic crimes. So we're not eager to uphold this idea of Satan's servants on earth and that people who disagree with a Christian perspective must necessarily uphold cruelty and destruction. And we think that kids should know that there's different meaning to different symbols for different people and that it doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong.
Hey, Moses, I'll let you wrap it up here concerning Lucian's contention that a lot of what is taught in the Good News is about, the wages of sin is death and that so forth. Is that a bulk of what is taught?
Well, Child Evangelism Fellowship has been teaching for 79 years what the Bible has been teaching for 2,000 years, and that Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. And this issue of the content of our clubs was thoroughly discussed before the justices of the Supreme Court in early 2001, and on June 11, 2001, on a vote 6-3, the United States Supreme Court ruled that Good News Clubs can be on a school campus and have equal treatment. The parents of the clubs are invited to come to the clubs. Many of them come, sit in the back of the room. They love the club. They love the content of the club. This is all negative publicity from this group of atheists. The people behind the after-school Satan clubs are atheists dressed up in scary costumes. This isn't a Satanist club. This isn't a devil-worshipping club. These are atheists trying to scare parents with pitchfork and devil horns. And so the bottom line is the parents, just like they sign permission slips for the kids to come to Good News Clubs, they're going to have to sign parental permission slips to come to these clubs. And just like an atheist club that completely flopped in New York last year because the parents wouldn't send their kids, the parents are not going to send their kids to these clubs.
All right. Well, both you guys had your say, and we've just run out of time there. So there's both sides of it. We'll see.
All right. Now let's go from the religious perspective. That was more so from the governmental position. Y'all know that that was the same guy that was dealing with from the government position of trying to get the Baphomet statue placed in Arkansas. All right. So let's go from this position.
Inclusion initially was Christian universalism. I've expanded it beyond the religious aspects of it now.
Now, I want you to pay attention to this brother, Carlton Pearson. Carlton Pearson, if y'all don't know who he is, all right, he started off, he's one of the top Pentecostal preachers and bishops, very highly intelligent, intellectual, was a graduate of Oral Roberts University. In fact, Oral Roberts took him under his wing as like a son. So this dude is not someone that is just off the block, just talking crazy. Okay, he is very intelligent. All right, so when dealing with him. So listen to what he says. He's now going to this. He's the leader of this universalism on steroids. Many of you may have seen driving down the road, these coexist signs and symbols and bumper tags, all right, that has all kinds of different religious signs, meaning it's inclusion, all right? So I want y'all to check out this and listen to what he says about the gospel of inclusion, all right? So this is from the religious perspective, and let's deal with how Satan works. Let's roll.
More of a spiritual thing. But initially, it was that in the finished work of the Christ, or of the cross, when Jesus said it is finished, that the work of human redemption had been accomplished, that all of humanity had been, and all sin and sinners had been atoned for, and so by the blood of Jesus on the cross as the sacrificial lamb. I no longer believe in a God that demands blood sacrifices, but in Christian lingo and Christian logic, Jesus is the Savior, Lord and Savior of all, Savior of all and Lord of some, Lord of those who acknowledge that he's their Savior. And that's Christian talk, and I can theologically, doctrinally discuss, debate that with anybody. I've expanded beyond that to believe that there is a universal reality, universe, uni meaning uno or one in Spanish, one verse, version, or versification of the whole. Regardless of your ethnicity, your nationality, your cultural and social background or being, regardless of your gender or sexual orientation, we're all essentially spirit. Pneuma is the Greek word, or mist, or breath, essence. The permanent rather than accidental you. That's what I mean when I say essence. The permanent you that has always been and will always be. That spirit. So getting back to that, we've supplanted spirituality with religion. Religion actually blocks you from your spirituality and puts parameters and boundaries and limitations on you. The more we get away from religion, the word actually means bondage in its original essence. When we get beyond those bondages and those boundaries, then we become open and free and the illusion that we are. We're an elusive thing. It's hard to really get a hold on us and put our fingers. It just keeps slipping through us. So we keep following the illusion with great curiosity and great interest, and that's how we discover ourselves. Once you lose your curiosity and become overly, what I call over-certitude, you're overly certain about a particular ideology, you limit yourself. And when you stop asking questions, you stop questioning answers. And so we don't just want to ask questions, answer questions. We want to question answers and keep questioning answers. That's how you expand and grow and extend yourself to your infinite person and personality or personification.
All right. So let's get into something here. All right. So let's go here to Matthew 24. And I want to look at something really quick. This is what many call the Olivet Discourse. This is a very common chapter in Matthew when dealing with some of the things that Christ was warning the apostles about, as well as many who teach today. I want to look at something real quick here. I don't want to go into a lot of the different things, but I want to just deal with something here that's very important. All right. So you look at Matthew 24 and you're looking at verse number 4. Okay. Matthew 24:4, and I'm going to read it as is. It says, "And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. Okay, this is very important because we have to understand that all of us, we're talking mankind, we all have a spirit man as well. All right, so our bodies is pretty much the temple in which our spirit is. So you have those of a righteous spirit and you have those of a wicked spirit. All right, both of them, all right, are a part of this earthly situation between what many would call good and evil. You have those who are in a flesh suit who perform wicked things, who operate and function wickedly. You have those who are in a flesh suit who operate and functions in a spiritual perspective. Okay, so that's what determination is of if one is going to follow Torah or one is going to follow righteousness in which the Father. That's the difference, and you'll know who is with who. Not by so much of looking at the outside, but don't be deceived by those who have a certain spirit that is also coming. So you have to have that spiritual understanding of growing spiritually and getting an understanding of what you're dealing with. So that way you don't look at the person and make the wrong decision based off carnality, but you view it from the spiritual perspective and the foundation that is laid and the guidelines that is laid before us to know what the difference is between what's right and what's wrong, what's violating the commandments and what's not from the personal. Okay, now let's look at this right here and see what it says here. He says, after he says, he says, take heed. He gives them a warning before he even gets into teaching them or speaking them anything. He starts telling them about deception. Okay. It's all around you, from the political institution to the spiritual institution. During the time of Rome and all of the other captivities, there was a spiritual system and there was a political system. It's always going to be that no matter what. It's always going to be a political and spiritual system. All right. And so we have to understand that. Now we begin to look at here at verse number 5. This is very key and important verse that people miss. In verse number 5, he says, for many shall come. All right. He's talking future, or not in that particular day in which he's talking about, or that particular hour or minute or second. It doesn't have to mean that, but it can mean the next day. All right. Shall come, not is, but shall come. Many shall come saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Now I want y'all to check this out. This is twofold, because on one end, we always teach that the person who says that I am Christ, we automatically associate that with their saying that they are the Christ, which in some aspects throughout history, that has been. There are many that have come and said that they are the HaMashiach. But it's also twofold. There will be many that will come that will declare that he is Messiah, and still are going to deceive the people. Because many will come and say, yes, he is the Messiah, but also you can live how you want. That's a deception in itself. There are many who can teach against Torah all while saying that he is the Messiah. So it's twofold. That's why he said, don't let nobody deceive you. All right. You even hear sometimes in Paul's letters, he said, be careful, because you have those who are wolves, or who are those who are demons or working for Hasatan, but parading themselves around as angels of light. They will come around and say, yes, he is the Christ. But the question is, how do you determine if a person is following or is in right standing, or that the Most High is co-signing them? They're always going to bring you back to the commandments. If I say that I'm an Israelite, but yet I say you ain't got to keep no commandments, you can live how you want to live, but Christ is Lord, that's deceiving. That would deceive many. If I say that I'm not an Israelite, but I turn around and say that Christ is Lord and you need to keep the commandments, then I should be viewed as righteous. This is what Christ is saying. Be careful, for there will be some that will say that they're the Christ and will deceive many. But there are also going to be some that come along that say, yes, he is Christ, and still are going to deceive many. Because Hasatan doesn't just work so obvious. This is why our prayer life is important. This is why our fast life is important. Just as much as we study, our prayer and fast life should be at the same pace, at the same level, if not more. If not more. He says in verse number 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. This is dealing with the political system. Why? Because the political system is the one who approves of the wars. The political system, the political beast system is the one that talks about going to war with people. It's still the spirit behind it, but the face of it is political. See that ye be not troubled. See this. See, this is why I tell you, I'm not worried about what the other nations got going on. Why? Because Christ says, don't be troubled. Just because the political beast system is declaring war and at war, even at war with you as believers, he says, be not troubled. Remember we read the other day in Revelation, we was talking about, and John was saying that here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Why did he say that? Because he understands, be not troubled. Be not troubled. See, when you are secure, when you know the Father and the Father knows you, and you are resolved in who you are, when trouble seems to arise, you're not worried. That doesn't mean that you're not troubled. Let me say that. That doesn't mean you don't have concerns. Having concerns and being troubled is two different things. We all have concerns, but we all shouldn't be troubled by the things that we see. Why? And the things that's going on. Because when you are in him and he's in you, the only person that should trouble you is him. Because there's nothing that no one else can do to you more than he can. That's why I say, fear the one who hurts the flesh and the spirit. Not just those who could just hurt your flesh, or those who use words against you, or those who physically touch you. Don't fear them. Fear the one that goes deeper than your carnal self. The one who holds your salvation and your life, your spirit man, in his hands. He says, be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. It's inevitable, is what he's saying. So if it's inevitable, what worrying is going to do to change it? What being afraid is going to do to change it? What is it going to do? What is it going to do to fear man? What is it going to do to fear anybody or anything or any system? He says these things must come to, these things are inevitable. They're going to happen. Now, the question is, if it's inevitable and it's going to happen, the question is, will you be prepared for it? That's the question. Will you be able to endure the perils, or will you deny? We have a bigger problem. We have a bigger problem. It's not saying don't be educated about the beast system, the political and the spiritual system. It's not saying don't educate yourself, but I'm not going to trouble myself. I'm not going to be troubled because I see stuff going on. No, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to teach and prepare my brothers and sisters to pray harder, to dig deeper. Go further in your prayer life and in your fast life more than ever. Because I know it's inevitable what's coming. And you have to be prepared to deal with those things that come, not troubled. Not troubled. Not troubled. Okay? Let's keep reading. Look what it says right here. All these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, nationality shall rise against nationality. When you look at that in this KJV translation, now we'll go and start looking at the CJB. We'll look at the complete. Later on, we'll go into the complete Jewish Bible understanding so we can get it from a Hebraic perspective. But just for on the surface that we're reading from the KJV, we'll just read it from there and just kind of give an understanding of what it's talking about. You're talking about nation against nation, or nationality against nationality, or kingdoms, all right, against kingdoms. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. There was famine and pestilence and things like that going on in Egypt. Okay? And so let's keep reading here. All these are the beginning of sorrows. It's just the beginning, beloved. So don't worry yourself. Don't be troubled. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. These are just the beginnings of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you. It's inevitable. Some of us are going to die. Some of us are going to die facing our greatest fears of death. Some brothers and sisters just have a phobia. Some brothers and sisters have a phobia of certain things. Some brothers and sisters can't swim. Some brothers and sisters don't like certain things. So therefore, this level of phobia is what's going to be put in your face sometimes. But that's why we have to make sure that we are fortified spiritually. Okay? We need to make sure that we have that. Because none of us know how we're going to leave here. But all we can do is ask the Most High to make sure that we are prepared to leave here. All right. Let's read here. Verse number 9. It says, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake, including your own nation. Why? Because this is a spiritual thing for his name's sake. Was not many of our own people coming against many of the apostles? Excuse me. When you talk about Esau, what about our own people? You talk about the Romans, you talk about the Greeks, what about our own people? What about during the Maccabees captivity? What about during the time of the Greek captivity? Who were the ones turning and selling out the Israelites? Who were the ones joining? See, here's the thing. This is what you have to understand. It's a difference in being a witness of the nations and partaking in the lifestyle of the nations. That's what we need to distinguish the difference is. The Israelites and some of the leaders within the community were making deals with the Greeks, embracing not being circumcised, embracing eating the swine, embracing all of these things during the Greek captivity. We ain't talking about brothers and sisters who living amongst Greeks still keeping Torah. We talking about brothers and sisters who denied Torah and start living like Greeks. So we're going to say sellout. It's not a sellout to go somewhere or be a part of a certain community on purpose to present and take the gospel versus someone denying the truth, denying the Torah, denying the commandments, and living like another nation that's not following the commandments. That's the difference. It's the same thing during the time of the Romans. Yeah, brothers, like, hey, look, man, we got to do something about this. We can't allow these brothers to keep going on presenting this teaching in the name of this false Christ or in the name of this false guy who's amongst Israel that we don't agree with. We can't allow them to keep teaching, and we can't allow him to keep teaching. Because if we leave him alone, the Romans going to come and take away our place. We can't allow our place to be taken. So we begin to look at this to get an understanding of this beast system, political as well as religious system. We have to understand that both of them are going to be implemented to put pressure on. It's already putting pressure on people now. It's already putting pressure on people. Just some of the stuff that we seeing. Let's keep reading. Let's look at this here. All right. All these are beginnings of sorrows. Now let's go into this real quick. I want to show y'all something. Now, your amendment right is to bear arms. I hear people all the time say, oh, man, they'll never take my gun. They won't never take my gun away. I got the right. The Constitution says this. I got the right to bear arms. They're not going to take my guns.
Today in New Orleans, they got a lot tougher on the holdouts.
Police department is on hold!
Not only the flooded areas, but New Orleans' driest and wealthiest neighborhoods, too.
Police department!
The police and National Guard going street by street, house to house.
We need to make sure, too, that whenever we knock on doors, people refuse to leave. We need to make note, call it in.
They say there are no orders to use force, just strong persuasion, sometimes entering open houses with guns drawn, and instructions to disarm anyone inside.
You say guns will be taken? No one will be able to be armed. We will take all weapons.
Guns will be taken. Nobody will ever be able to be. I thought your amendment was the right to bear arms. This is the political system of the beast. So if you think that your guns are going to be effective, you go right ahead with that mentality. Go right ahead with that mentality into thinking that you're going to fight these things out with your guns blazing like some Western movie or something like that. They're going to take your guns eventually. And if not, they're going to kill you while taking your guns. This is why I'm telling y'all, it has to be something deeper in you. It has to be something more than yourself, more than your carnality that is driving you. It has to be. Look at what it says. I'm going to go back.
Guns will be taken. No one will be able to be armed. We will take all weapons.
That happened today in this wealthy neighborhood where homeowners had armed themselves to protect their mansions. Residents were handcuffed on the ground. In the end, police took their weapons but let them stay in their homes.
They were a little bit threatened because our weapons were bigger than their weapons.
They took their weapons. Took them. Man, I'm telling y'all, man. Man, yo, let's keep rolling, man.
For many of the police and guard troops, it is an uncomfortable job to do this in an American city. This guard unit occupied a church, using it as a base camp. They had to leave a note because they could not get hold of the pastor to get permission.
It is surreal. Yeah, you never expect to do this in your own country.
Chris Montgomery says he'd rather be in Iraq than patrolling American neighborhoods.
Walking up and down these streets, you don't want to think about the stuff that you're gonna have to do. Somebody pops around the corner.
We shoot in America.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want you in here.
We're not gonna do that.
I don't want you in here, period.
But there's a mandatory evacuation.
I know all about it.
Well, Patricia Coney's protests were to no avail.
So you tell they body slammed the old lady, man. They body slammed grandma in the kitchen and took her pistol. Body slammed grandma in the kitchen and took her. Yeah, come on, man. There is no respect for the young or the old when it comes down to this beast political system. It's no respect, bro. Like we have to really understand this thing, man. A lot of the things that we fighting are minute and non-salvation issues, and we're magnifying these things, and there's a bigger picture going on. Tell y'all, Hasatan don't care about that stuff, man. No regard. This New Orleans situation, this was the first time. I was talking to brothers on my job. I was like, nah, man, they're not going to take my gun. That's my amendment right. And da-da-da. I said, bro, I went on YouTube and pulled it up. Their mouth was wide open. I said, okay, you think your gun, first of all, your guns, you don't have guns bigger than their guns. You don't have guns bigger than their guns. Okay, let's get that understood. Let's understand that off top. Your guns are not bigger than their guns. So what you gonna fight with? When the Romans took Jerusalem, they didn't have swords and shields big enough to deal with them. The Babylonians, they didn't have guns. I mean, they didn't have weapons bigger than the Babylonians. Wait, what about during the time with Goliath and the Philistines? They didn't have a person in the military big enough or was strong enough to fight against Goliath. It took something that was foolish to men, because it's not the power behind the size of the weapon. Or it's not the size of the weapon. It's the power behind it. Here comes David, skilled with the slingshot. Most people would have laughed at him. He rode up there with a slingshot, and this dude here turned around. He tried to put on Saul armor. It was too big. He couldn't fit it. But yet, you have people in today's time will try to force you to put their armor on that don't fit you. You've been trained differently to go in different terrains and territories, but yet they're trying to put their armor and their training on you. When you've been designed, called, and equipped for a different type of war. Your armor don't fit me. My armor and my skill don't fit you. And until we come to that understanding, it's going to always be Saul's trying to force David to wear his armor. David didn't need a shield and a sword. He didn't need to put on armor to defeat Goliath, because he understood where his power came from. And it wasn't in carnality. It wasn't by might or by strength of his own hands.
They moved her out of there, and she is now out of the city.
No one will be able to be armed. We will take all weapons.
It was a human drama with emotions and tensions running high. Patty Connie is still trying to recover physically and emotionally.
They really did a number on me.
From the day police forced her from her home.
It was traumatic. All of a sudden, they were banging on the front door, the side door, and the back door. They said, let us in.
Patty tried to explain. She was on dry land, she had plenty of food and water, and didn't want to abandon her dogs. But it didn't matter.
If you see 6 or 8 police that look like linebackers pushing you in a corner, you're in shock. I'm saying, look at all my food. I got plenty of food. They kept pushing me back, and ended up like this.
Then, Patty showed them a small revolver she was carefully holding in the palm of her hand. A camera crew was there to capture what unfolded next.
I said, it's not even loaded. And I dropped it on the floor. Well, they punched me in the face. Look at my black and blue marks. Look at what they did to me. They dragged me out of here. I really thought they were going to kill me. I really did.
We were coming back across the lake is when we got stopped by Coast Guard and St. Tammany Sheriff's Department and the National Guard by gunpoint.
We had identification. We were coming back from a house that we were taking the weapons out of so criminals wouldn't break in and steal them. And we've had policemen tell us that that's what they wanted us to do. But not the sheriff in St. Tammany. They just wanted to confiscate them from us.
We felt like criminals at the time when they come up to us with M16s or AR-15s, whatever it was, but there were 4 of them with rifles and holding on us with our hands in the air until they got in our boat.
So they got on the boat and they asked us, do you have any loaded weapons? Yes, we do. They're in the 2 back compartments. Wayne went to show them where the gun was. And he screams, don't touch it. Don't even move. I'll get it.
I felt like it was un-American and that we had been violated when they took... Like I said, we were shells out. We were just sitting around looking at each other and said, we just got our guns taken away from them.
They took them. And they didn't have a right to take them. They didn't have a reason to take them. That was the thing. We did nothing wrong. But they took them anyway. He said, be thankful we're taking your guns here. Why should I be thankful? Well, if they catch you with them on land, they're going to take you straight to jail.
We live in proof that all they have to do is say, look, this is the law.
You had that feeling that you were violated. They took something from you. They stole something from you. That's the only way to put it. They took something that they didn't have a right to take.
What'd you come and get my gun for? I'm a good citizen.
Marie Gladys, a Baptist minister, faced the same story in her neighborhood. The same threats by thugs, the same lack of police. But she never once felt afraid.
And I had my Bible, and I had my gun, and I knew I was safe. And I tell you what, I'm a Annie Oakley if you come fool with me or my family. I'm going to let you have it, buddy.
Marie knows she was lucky. She was never forced to leave home and didn't have her firearm confiscated.
It's going against my constitutional rights as a citizen.
But Marie remembers how upset she got when the police department threatened to take her firearm.
You're letting the thugs get away with everything, and you're coming to honest, good citizens and taking away their protection, and it is wrong. Wrong. Wrong.
What I feel is that we're losing control of who we are as a nation.
Robert Zoss was forced to evacuate when a tree destroyed both of his family's homes.
Loaded with dogs, kids, people.
Then, as they were exiting through downtown, the unexpected happened.
These cops came out of nowhere, said stop, and asked, do we have weapons in the car? And I Told him, yeah, I do. He said, get out the vehicle. Had us all sit cross-legged in front while they searched the vehicle. I had a .22 long rifle. My tenant's girlfriend had a .22 pearl handle revolver given to her by her grandmother or grandfather.
But Robert couldn't believe what he watched police do next to his rifle and his friend's pearl handle revolver.
I saw them smash her gun given to her by grandmother, grandfather, just against the curb. The other things that they busted up, the .22 rifle they busted up, these were police officers that went too far. We didn't have any rights. I mean, they treated us like criminals. They treated us like if we were in a third world country. I was scared because these guys weren't doing it by the book. There was mayhem. New Orleans police did not have control of the city anymore. So the only plan they thought, I guess, was to take the guns away from the people. Heed the warning of what this was. You know, this is like Australia. All of a sudden, boom, they got our rights.
Telling y'all, man. Telling you straight up. You better make sure. You better know. Let me tell you something. Better make sure you know something. You have something deeper. I'm telling you straight up, man, because it's not going to help you. All right. All that carnal thinking, all that stuff. You think you're ready to go to war with this kingdom. You ain't. You better get y'all. I'm telling you. You better check yourself. You better check yourself. You better be able to pray. And you better be able to trust the Most High in these days. All right. That was just a precursor of really what they can do. That was just a test run of what they did in New Orleans. All right. When it come down to taking people guns. It wasn't no constitutional right then. All right. So let's keep reading it. Look what it says, man. Let's look what it says. We almost done. All right. It says, then they shall deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended and shall betray one another. Listen to this. I want y'all to listen to this. Many shall be offended by anything. They don't like how you do something. They offended. They're going to betray one another. Now, we know that even Christ and even in the Torah, it teaches us to love our brothers as ourselves. We know that even if Christ said that if your brother offends you, go to your brother, work it out outside of the public. But nah, this type of offense, brothers and sisters gonna betray one another and shall hate one another. Why is that? Because it's a certain type of spirit that is implemented not only through the religious construct, but also through the political construct. Hasatan is working it all. Why? Because the spirit of Antichrist is at work in the earth. Not just in the system. Yes, it runs the systems, but even in the earth amongst the people. Amongst the people. Nowadays, we talking about in the day and age where people get offended for anything. People would get offended if they feel as though you're not saying the right name that they say, they get offended. People get offended if you don't put on a blinker and getting over. They get offended. People get offended if you don't know Hebrew. People get offended about anything. Hey, man, you didn't call me by the right name. You didn't call me by my right name, or you misspelled my name, or you mispronounced my name. Hey, you didn't call him Yahushua. They get offended. And guess what? Turn on one another. I ain't talking to Ak no more. Because he said this, and we don't say that. We don't, all this, people are getting offended by everything. Betray one another. And not only that, not only does the level of betrayal, it's from at an all-time high wickedness. They start hating one another. And oftentimes the hate is for no particular reason. for no particular reason. Last I heard, the only person that had any righteousness in them and was righteous enough to hate anybody was the Most High. Everybody else, we're not even righteous enough to hate nobody. But that's how wicked it's going to get. Not only from the political system, but from the spiritual system as well. And those two systems function amongst the people. They shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise. All this stuff going on. People hating one another, people in turmoil, nobody can get along, people backbiting, people doing this, people doing that, all this stuff going on. All of it. All while you got these false prophets rising that says he's Christ, but teaching contrary to the Torah. That says he's Christ, but saying you can do whatever you want, or saying that they are the Christ. It's a brother right now online on Facebook running around talking about he's the HaMashiach. Okay, we know about David Koresh. We know about Luis de Jesus Miranda. We know about all of these people, but there's also people on social media running around talking about they Christ. So not only do you got to watch for those who say that they the Christ, but you got to watch for those who say he is the Christ, but also teaching contrary. The times we live in is no joke. Okay, let's look what it says here. Let's keep reading. It says, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity, because sin, because unrighteousness, all of that hate, betrayal, offense, all of that stuff, all of those things fall under the umbrella of iniquity. It shall abound, not just, we're not talking about just a minute level. No, it shall abound, meaning that it shall be the norm. Iniquity shall be the norm. We see it right now. We see iniquity everywhere. It's the norm. It's nothing to be scrolling out Facebook and you see a naked woman. You see lust all over Facebook. It's nothing to roll up and down Facebook and see somebody blowing somebody's brains out or hanging somebody or cutting somebody's head off. It's nothing to go on YouTube and pull up videos of all type of murders and wickedness and all this other stuff, and it's just norm. It's nothing new to go on a video game, and the video game is so real now to where people blowing their brains out playing video games, caught your opponent, all right, blowing somebody's brain, Grand Theft Auto and all. This stuff is normal. It's normal. Football wasn't violent enough. Boxing wasn't violent enough. All of a sudden, then you have all these other sports come out, just bloody, breaking bones, and all this. This stuff is real, and the people love it. The people want more. When the NFL, when they passed those new rules of you couldn't hit the wide receiver and defenseless receiver and you can't touch the quarterback, people was upset. They were, oh no, it's just like the Roman Colosseums. During the time of the Roman Colosseum, the more blood was shed, the more the people cheered. So it's nothing for somebody to sit there. I was talking to one brother one time, and it was this a video where this old man was walking down the sidewalk, and the dude got on this. He did it on Facebook Live. The dude got out the car and shot the old man in the head right on Facebook. I mean, Facebook allowed that video to be aired and played. I mean, we talking months before they even got rid of that video. That video should have been shut down. But guess what? Facebook didn't do it. They didn't shut it down. People were sharing it over and over and over again. They did nothing. And I was talking to one brother. I was like, man, I couldn't even watch that video. He said, why, man? I watched it. I laughed. This is the brother that I was talking to. This is the brother that I talked to. He said, man, I watched it like 10 times. I was laughing. I was like, huh? Like, bro, for real? I'm sitting looking like, there's a brother that worked with me. And I'm like, nah, man. That's the reason why. Nah, I can't. Can't rock with you no more, Odd. You laughed at the old man getting his brains blowed out. This is crazy. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Because iniquity is going to be the driving force for the lack of love. And if you love him, you keep the commandments. So therefore, the lack of commandment keeping is going to abound. That's why you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. That's why the beast political and spiritual system is going to come after the remnant of them that keep the commandments. Why? Because if iniquity is abounding, there's no love. And if you love him, you keep his commandments, meaning that you're going to love your brother and you're going to do what the Father says. So therefore, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb when the world in the mass majority are lawless. That's what's going to make you stick out like a sore thumb. And look what he says right here. Verse number 13. But he that endures through the betrayal, through the offense, through the hatred, through the iniquity, any and everything that man feels that they want to do to you shall abound. So guess what? Those who endure unto the end, not those who start out the race. Many of those who start out ain't going to finish. Many who start out with you not going to end with you. That's why there's a level of endurance. That's why I'm telling you to make sure that you are spiritually in shape. Because everybody's not. Those who endure through the false prophet, through the wickedness, through all of this stuff, the same one who endures shall be saved. And this gospel, this is a key word here, this gospel, because there's a whole lot of gospels out here. The false prophet bringing the gospel, all of these different false prophets, let me say that, false prophets, plural, they coming with gospels. But this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world, not just the world of Israel, all the world. There's a difference between eon and cosmos. All the world, for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. Everybody ain't gonna ride with you. Everybody that started out around the world ain't gonna end. They're not gonna endure. They're not gonna be able to endure the perils. That's why it's important for us to make sure that our fast life, our prayer life, and our studying and the keeping of the commandments of Yah is very important, because we have to not only teach this. See, it's a difference in teaching and living it. At some point, it comes a point in time when you teach something so long that the Father is going to see and going to prove to you if what you're actually teaching is something that's in your heart for real. You will be tested by the things that you teach. You're gonna go through that. The same way you say, I die for the Lord. You are going to have the opportunity. Those who love to say it, you may find yourself with the opportunity to prove that. I'll just say this, beloved. Don't let those things that you teach only reside on your lips and never enter into your heart. Don't let the things that you teach others only reside on your lips. It should be a place of habitation in your heart before you even allow it to come out of your lips. It starts with a residence in the heart. Once it's in your heart and that's the place of residence, then you're able and capable, and the Father will co-sign those things that come off of your lips. Because if it's in your heart, you'll walk it out. And the things that you teach will be the things that people will be able to see in your life. But also the opposite is true. If you teach one thing and it's contrary, your heart and your lips is doing two different things, the people will also see that what you say is not in your heart. And therefore, the people will not be blinded to your words, but they will actually see you for who you really are. Brothers and sisters, I thank you all for tuning in. This was part 3. This is the last and final part of this lesson. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/itsmajors1, the number 1, or youtube.com/itsmajors and the number 1. Don't forget about the James 1-on-1 conference coming up. Jacksonville, Florida. Tickets will also be available. The tickets are free. Last year, we had over 200 people. This year, we're expecting more people than that in Jacksonville. We'll also be baptizing again. We baptized a lot of people last year. This year, we're going to be baptizing more people as well. It's a 2-day conference. If you went last year, you know what I'm talking about. You know how impactful and how awesome James 1-on-1 was. And it's going to be even bigger and better in Jacksonville, Florida, June 7th and 8th this summer. We're doing it in the summertime, so you can bring your children, your kids, and all of that. You ain't got to worry about having a babysitter. You just have to get to Jacksonville, but it's going to be awesome and phenomenal. Tickets will be available through Eventbrite. We also will have a GoFundMe prepared for those. We definitely need funds to help sow, to make sure that the production and everything in the venue goes well. So we definitely will be having the GoFundMe set up, but the tickets also are free. So therefore, brothers and sisters, just stay tuned. It will come. It will be here. The tickets will be available in February. It's the James 1-on-1 conference is June the 7th and 8th. It's Friday, June 7th and Saturday, June 8th. Okay. So make sure, don't forget, you'll see the flyers and all that stuff. And I will definitely be putting up the link to the Eventbrite in February for you to go ahead and get the tickets, because these tickets go fast. Last year, they went fast. Okay. Yes, part 1 and part 2, Sister Angela, is on my YouTube channel. So definitely don't forget to like and share the YouTube channel, or subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way you can get updated. And so it's a lot of great things going on within the body. And so I'm excited about it. But again, James 1-on-1 is going to be awesome. It's going to be phenomenal. This is the 3rd year that we're doing this. By year 5, okay, by year 5, we're expecting for it to be huge. Okay, huge. All right. So it's going to be awesome, man. Good to see y'all again. Stay blessed, man. Grace to you all. Shalom to you all. Grace, peace, and many blessings. Don't forget, man. Do not forget. Make sure your prayer life. Okay. Yes, men and women and children are invited. Men, women, and children are invited. We're still putting out the list of speakers and whatnot. We have a panel discussion. Last year, we had a youth band that came in and played. We have performances by a lot of dope artists that rap the gospel and stuff like that. We have praise and worship. So it's awesome. 2-day event with speakers and performances and fellowship and all that great stuff, man. I'm telling y'all, there are brothers and sisters who are on here now who went last year. They know how big it is. There were brothers and sisters who was in Richmond, Virginia when we did it the first time. And it was about 70 people in Richmond the first year, over 200 the second year. And this year, we're expecting to be a lot of people. Last year, we had to add more tickets because that's how many people were asking requests for. So this year, we're planning to have 300 free tickets. But I would advise you, don't get the tickets if you're not going to come, okay? If you do, if you're not going to come or something come up and you can't come, let us know because we definitely want to make room for all those who can come. And again, we have some great speakers. We have Elder Cletus, who's coming from Nigeria. We have Elder Dimitri Milligan, who was there last year. We have Ron Choirboy, who was an MMA fighter. He's going to be a speaker, as well as we have Sister Olivia May, who used to be in homosexuality, but she's also been delivered. She has a great testimony. She's a speaker, and I'm not going to give you any more speakers because they're going to be coming out. You'll see the flyers coming out. Okay, so it's going to be awesome. All right, it's going to be awesome. So again, February the tickets will become available on Eventbrite, and I will give it to you. Okay, I'll put it out there. All right, Richmond, Virginia. I'm closer to Virginia. Are you in, Sister Angela? You have a congregation or a fellowship out there that you're a part of in Virginia? Sister Angela, just inbox me. If you don't have a congregation and you need one, you're looking for one, hit me up. We have PFR out there as well as Boom Maryland, Boom DMV in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So hit me up and inbox me and I can get you the information if you need a congregation or fellowship. All right. So shalom to you all, brothers and sisters.